I'm going to call tonight's meeting to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Wall.
Here.
Mayor Matsumoto Wright.
Here.
Councilmember Murray.
Present.
Councilmember Ryan.
Here.
Councilmember Page.
Here.
Councilmember Sonmore.
Here.
And Councilmember Woodard.
Accounted for.
That concludes roll call.
Thank you very much. Next is public public comment. Do we have anyone signed up?
We do. First is Audrey Meyer, and you'll have 5 minutes at the podium.
Hello, Mayor, Council. I'm Audrey Meyer. I think you all know me by now as an advocate for trees, and I've appreciated your support in protecting our urban forest. You may not know that I also have a background in social work and working with immigrants and refugees, and I am the daughter of an immigrant. And today I'm here to ask you to reconsider your decision on flock. I know you only voted a month ago, however, there have been some changes since that vote. I considered attending that council meeting on June 5th, but decided against it because I was traveling very early the next morning to see my family in California. And that weekend, I was in Los Angeles when there were the protests and the National Guard was deployed. Days later, when I was in LAX waiting to fly home, my sister was a couple minutes away at a global entry interview at the Customs Border Office and saw National Guard setting up, many with machine guns. Fast forward a couple days, and ICE was outside of my nephew's high school in a suburban city next to LA. The next day, ICE agents were running after someone on my mom's street. So I was back here at home, feeling angry and worried about the safety and rights of these people being targeted, and wondering how long it would take to see what my family was seeing near LA here in Mountlake Terrace. So I used the emotions that I was feeling to take action, and with a group of 10 of us, 10 residents in Mountlake Terrace, we attended a rapid response and know your rights training in regards to ICE. And then last week, the act, or the big bill, passed, giving ICE and CBP a dramatic increase in funding. I'm here because at this moment, the best way I can advocate for those being targeted by ICE is to ask you to please revisit your vote. I know all of you voted with the community's safety in mind, but right now, I'm not worried about a masked burglar. I'm worried about a masked ICE agent, and I know that I can't fight back a federal officer. Let's not make it easy for ICE here in MLT. Please don't give them a reason to use resources here. The Keep Washington Working Act makes it clear that our local police are not to assist ICE. However, it does not prevent Flock from assisting ICE being forced to share information or for ICE to gain side door access by getting access to our city's information from other cities, as has already happened elsewhere. As Councilmember Murray pointed out on that June 5th meeting, how are we going to keep track of the MOUs and make sure other cities are following them? And what about the murky language allowing Flock to share information? I know your agendas are set ahead of time and are packed, but given the public feedback and our changing political climate, I request that you, 1, please revisit the Flock vote and vote no, and 2, please reestablish a community policing advisory board as suggested by Councilmember Page. And also, let's discuss how we're going to protect the safety and rights of our immigrant community members. Thank you.
Next is Audie. If you could please spell your last name, you'll have.
Yeah, it's Prefulu. My last name is Prefulu. Do you need me to spell it?
Once you're up at the microphone, please, and then you'll have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, my name is Aude. So first name is Aude, A-U-D-E, and last name is Prefulu, which is spelled P-U-Y-F-O-U-L-H-O-U-X. All right, hold on tight. Okay, thank you for taking my comment. For the context, my name is Aude. and my husband and I bought our first home here in Mountlake Terrace in 2022. I became a member of the Ivy League since 2022, and I've become really quite attached to this community. I'd been living in the States since 2016 on a green card, and recently became a citizen, actually 2 months ago, out of fear in the political climate, because I'm an immigrant and I felt threatened. In fact, I never would have spoken up at a meeting like this before getting my US passport. Before moving here, I lived in Germany for 5 years, where I studied and I worked. A number of my former colleagues and friends grew up in Eastern Germany before the fall of the wall in 1989. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the political regime and the surveillance that happened at the time, but things were really bad. And to express any sort of disagreement with the political regime could put people and their families into serious trouble, including imprisonment and torture through the Stasi. The Stasi is the Staatssicherheit, which translates to the Office of State Safety. The tools available to them at the time were pretty rudimentary, and I can only imagine that systems like Flock would have been their dream come true. Now, I just want to raise your attention to the fact that the definition of a crime, as well as state safety, seems highly dependent on who is in power. And I think it would be unwise not to take history into account when approving these kinds of measures. I'm only 36 years old, and Eastern Germany is not that far, and neither geographically nor chronologically. For a better depiction of what I'm trying to explain, I highly recommend the film The Lives of Others. That's my comment. Thank you.
No one else has signed up, and no one has signed up to speak online.
All right, thank you. As you know, we are not going to be responding to any of this in the past, too. Just a reminder. Next is consent agenda. Mayor Pro Tem Wall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Move to approve the consent agenda items A and B.
Second. So is it moved and seconded? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Then motion carried. Next is the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem, just a few things to mention tonight. First, we want to remind everybody that we have no council meeting next Thursday on the 17th. Our next council meeting will be on the 24th, and here in this room on at 7 p.m. And next, I wanted to remind everybody that the kickoff of our Financial Sustainability Task Force is a couple weeks away, and we're busy preparing for that and looking forward to welcoming that group in and having good conversations with them. And then just two notes. 3rd of July was fantastic. It was a great event, went very well, and I think everybody really enjoyed it. And when I was there, it seemed like everybody was having a great time, and I'm sure it continued. I was tired, and I didn't stay until 10 o'clock, but I was there for a while, and it looked like everybody had a great time. And I wanted to celebrate the start of Terrace Summer Nights tonight out here on the plaza. Some great music in the sunshine, and I think everybody had a good time there too. So happy, that's all I have to report tonight, and happy to report those things. And we'll answer any questions if you have any.
Do we have anyone with questions, comments? Do we know how many people showed up for the 3rd yet?
Not yet. It was probably a little bit less than we had last year. Last year we had about 10,000. I think that's probably because the 3rd fell on a Friday as part of a 3-day weekend, and a lot of people were out of town. But regardless, it was still really well attended. There was a lot of folks out there having a great time.
It was crowded.
Yeah.
Councilmember Woodard?
Thank you, Mayor. I just realized, we should ask, how was the police activity on the 4th of July?
So yeah. We had one honey bucket at Evergreen that was set on fire. Fire department came down and took care of that, but that was the only thing that we know about. Yep.
Well, it definitely was going on in our neighborhood. So, okay. Next is a proclamation for Disability Pride Month. And I will invite our guest up here. So we have a proclamation, and I'm going to be presenting this to Courtney Chris, and she is the Leadership and Advocacy Manager for the ARC of Snohomish County. And I will have you say a few words after this. So you can explain what ARC is all about. Okay, so I'm going to read the proclamation. City Mountlake Terrace Proclamation, Disability Pride Month. Whereas Disability Pride Month is celebrated annually in July to commemorate the anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, being signed into law, which occurred on July 26, 1990, a landmark civil rights law that prohibits discrimination against people with disabilities. And whereas this month is a time for the community of people with disabilities to embrace their identities, reclaim visibility, and celebrate their contributions to society. And whereas it's a time to celebrate the history, achievements, and experiences of the disability community, and to raise awareness about issues faced by people with disabilities. And whereas Disability Pride Month aims to educate the public about disability issues, promote inclusion, and foster understanding and respect. And whereas this is a time for the community of people with disabilities to come together, uplift one another, and advocate for their rights and needs. And whereas the City of Mountlake Terrace values diversity and inclusion, equal rights and justice, and is committed to continuing to embrace these values. And whereas the City and Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee are committed to learning more about how to support the community of people with disabilities. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Kyoko Matsumoto Wright, on behalf of the Mountlake Terrace City Council, do hereby proclaim July as Disability Pride Month. And this is Courtney Chris.
Thank you. On behalf of the ARC of Snohomish County for proclaiming July as Disability Pride Month in Mountlake Terrace, I am Courtney Chris. I myself do not experience disability. I have 2 children with Down syndrome and have been advocating for them since they were born. And this is why I do what I do. The first city to honor Disability Pride Month was Boston in July of 1990 in conjunction with the signing of the ADA. The passage of the ADA was no small feat. It took years of advocacy, protests, parades, and the powerful personal stories of individuals with disabilities, highlighting their experiences of discrimination and lack of access. This advocacy reached a critical turning point in March 1990 during the Capitol crawl, when individuals with disabilities abandoned their mobility aids and literally crawled up the U.S. Capitol steps to demonstrate the inaccessibility of public buildings and the broader challenges they faced in their communities. Despite the progress made by the ADA, individuals with disabilities continue to face barriers in accessing their communities, whether it's through segregated classrooms, employment discrimination, limited transportation options, or healthcare biases. Even after 35 years, many cities, public buildings, parks, and housing options remain physically inaccessible. The ARC is committed to advocating for the intellectual and developmental disability community. We support parents learning about a new diagnosis for their children. We educate as they learn about therapies, medical procedures, school systems, government benefits, and recreation. We train leaders, parents, and self-advocates to go out into the community, to join boards and committees, to speak to their legislators, to testify in bill hearings. We encourage self-advocacy, determination, and awareness for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, for them to speak up and to shape their own lives. We advocate for inclusive communities. While there's still much work to do, with continued advocacy and resilience, we can break down barriers and build a future where everyone belongs. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, next is a review and vote on the interlocal agreement for Snohomish County Outreach Team, Scout, with our Police Commander, Scott King.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. So I'm here tonight for a review and vote of the Snohomish County Outreach Team, or Scout, interlocal agreement. The interlocal agreement between Snohomish County and the City of Mountlake Terrace establishes the Snohomish County Outreach Team program, embedding a part-time employee for a social service worker with the City of Mountlake Terrace Police Department to address social service needs related to homelessness, mental health, substance misuse, and other concerns. The financial contributions from the city include payment for the part-time social worker service worker, which will be shared with Linwood, ancillary services such as temporary shelter and housing supports such as application fees or move-in supplies, ORCA cards, transportation assistance for treatment or medical needs, and client assistance with food, clothing, or medicine, and et cetera. We also received $7,500 in flexible assistant funds from Scout, which can be used the money can be used for those needs, and we can also use our Blue Bridge funds that we accessed earlier in the year. Snohomish County's contributions include the 0.5 FTE social service worker, which, as I mentioned, is shared with Linwood, supervision and training for Scout, coverage by alternative Scout member if the primary one's absent, which is great because this has already happened with us. If our Scout employee is gone or on vacation or sick, we've had somebody to fill in, so we don't have a void there. Equipment and materials such as county ID, outdoor clothing, vehicle mileage reimbursement, personal protective equipment, and additional equipment as mutually agreed upon. Administrative needs such as invoicing for the program costs. They maintain a client database in the behavioral health database system, providing monthly reports, which I currently receive from them, shared resources such as use of our phones and furniture, copy machines, and a place to sit. Costs include, so for 2025, detailed in Table 1 of the ILA, Mountlake Terrace's portion is $131,080. $88,669 of that is covered with grants through Verdant, and that's paid through the City of Linwood. $42,330 is what's responsible by the City of Mountlake Terrace, and that will be paid out of the opioid funds. This includes salary, benefits, supplies, administrative oversight, leave coverage, and indirect costs for the 0.5 FTE. 2026 costs will be determined and agreed upon in writing by both parties before January 1st, 2026. Either party may terminate this agreement with or without cause by providing the other party with at least 30 days written notice. Key benefits are it frees Mountlake Terrace Police Department to focus on core law enforcement by diverting social services cases to Scout. It provides tailored outreach, engagement, and referrals for individuals with social service needs. And it enhances community support through housing, transportation, and flexible assistance funds. And the city recommends that the mayor signs the interlocal agreement.
Do we have any questions or comments? Councilmember Sonmore?
Well, thank you for doing this, and I like the clause if that person is gone longer than 2 weeks, somebody else will fill in, and then if you don't have a good match, you can say something about that and maybe get a replacement, because it must be a very stressful job. And I just appreciate somebody willing to step up to do that type of job. My question is, you mentioned there is money for shelter, housing, supplies, and medical. I'm always interested in medical. How do we pay for medical? Would it be straight out? Is there,
So
we contract with somebody for?
no, so the way it would be is if there's just a one-time medical cost, and we would actually use our department credit card for that, and then we would give that receipt to Scout, and they would reimburse us. And that's what the $7,500 for. The $7,500 is basically a grant from Scout for us to use for those services.
Well, So I'm on left one, and so, we're very interested in medical cost, and one appointment can be like $1,000.
Yeah, and
So-
we're not talking like
Yeah.
a surgery or anything like that. It would just be, getting someone to a facility or something like that. It would have to be within reason. Kind of like we talked about with the Blue Ridge. If we're helping somebody fix their car, we're not going to redo a whole transmission for somebody, and it would be similar with this.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilmember Murray?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commander. One, just appreciate the efforts to continue this program when the previous funding went away. I think we've seen a lot of value from the program and appreciate the opportunity to continue to serve our community this way. So appreciate all of those efforts. I am curious, I guess, in just helping both council and the community to understand kind of the benefits of the program, particularly as we look at future costs. I guess I'm curious, I saw that part of the contract is that they shall attend designated community meetings and presentations that add value to the program. And so I guess I'm curious if we have any of those planned or what you would imagine that could potentially look like in terms of, meeting this person and helping to better understand the work that they do and the impact of that work.
Sure. Yeah, and I could definitely set for her to come up to a council meeting and give a presentation, and I think that would be a really good idea. So far, we've had her come to our cops and clergy meeting, so she has been out in the public helping us out with that, and anytime we request it, we just need to give her a little bit of time, and she runs that through her supervisor through Scout, but I don't see that as something being out of the question, and I think they'd be up for that.
Awesome. Yeah, whether a council meeting or, I don't know, a Terrace talk, or I'm not sure the right
Any of
forum, but yeah, I do think that particularly, I guess, as we look ahead to my other question, so do we anticipate, so I know we have 2025 costs that are laid out, and we've got some grants, and we've got some opioid dollars. Kind of looking ahead, it sounds like we don't know what the 2026 costs are anticipated to be yet.
Correct.
Do we have a timeline to find those out that gives us enough time if for some reason we do not have room in the budget, and I by no means think we shouldn't find room in the budget ideally, but to cancel the contract within that 30-day window if we do not have the funds to continue the
Yeah,
program?
I don't have a date for you, but I know we'll find out at a decent time.
Okay,
to
we'll make sure that it's
happen.
before
Yeah.
that window so that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, they've been very gracious with us. Just the process of getting this all done. We've had our Scout member out on the road since last year. And I know the contract says if she's gone more than 2 weeks, they'll send somebody out. Really, if she's been gone more than 3 days, they've had somebody else with us. So they've been very good partners.
Awesome. I mean, I don't know if this is a question for you or for the city manager, but do we anticipate having additional opioid dollars next year that could continue to help to cover some of the costs of the program?
The settlements with different organizations are structured differently. Some are flat payments, some are paid out over a 20-year time frame. So we will be receiving revenue depending, I mean, it slides based on the settlements, but we'll be receiving revenue for a number of years.
Okay.
Also, it was earlier this week or maybe late last week, I got notification of a new settlement that's we're about to start receiving revenue from a new settlement at the state level, and I can't remember who the other party was, but I think it was a drugstore chain, but I don't know, I can't remember which one at the moment.
No, that's wonderful, and I think this is a great use of those dollars, so appreciate all of the efforts that have gone into making this happen, and excited to hopefully move this forward and continue to see her making a positive impact on the community.
Yeah, thank you. It's one of my favorite projects.
Anyone else? All right, so Mayor Pro Tem Wall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Move to authorize the mayor to sign the Snohomish County Outreach Team, the Scout Program ILA.
Second?
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. And next is the review of the July 17th agenda, but there is no meeting. So
We have canceled that meeting, and we'll provide the agenda for the 24th by next Friday? 18th, yes.
okay, thank you. So next will be an executive session. Are we having an executive session?
Yes, Mayor, we would like to hold an executive session, no action to follow, and we expect it to last 30 minutes.
Okay, so we just say now that we'll be back.
Be back at 7:55 unless extended, but we'll notify if we extend.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Do we want to take a break before we go in or just go on in? Oh. All right, we're back in session. No action taken. And next on our agenda is council comments. Does anyone have any council comments? Councilmember Page?
Yeah, I have a couple. The first is in relation to what we just had the discussion about Scout, which I'm really pleased with, us approving this for no other reason other than the fact that just this week, one of our disabled vets that are here in the city that's homeless, who I guess parks in the front of the library at night, just sent me a little message, asking that we don't forget them, and I think this is a good way to make sure that, we can pass that information on to some of those folks who we don't see, or don't hear from, or maybe we only do periodically, to let them know that we got this resource, that's available and going to be helpful for them. So I'm really glad we did that. The other thing that, the other comment that I have has to do with, the whole upcoming flock. And what I would like, I'm hoping that is we can get, the council can get a crash course on just how the system works, what flows into the police department, what do they see, how do they interpret it, when they're auditing, what is it that they're looking for, when there's just what the system is going to look like. We're counting on our policies being followed based upon how well it's getting audited and how well it's being monitored, and what's going out and what's coming in. And I think it's important for the council to understand that, so that we can be able to articulate, to anyone who's questioning about it, whether or not it's doing what it's saying it's doing, and whether or not there's any, glitches that we think there might be in it or not. So when that opportunity comes up, I hope that, we see and agree that we should be, I don't want to say an expert in the form. It'd be great if we were, but at least we are knowledgeable about exactly what the system does across the street, what they see, and how they can set things up so that information goes out or comes in that they can control.
Okay, does anyone else have anything else to add? Councilmember Ryan?
Thank you, Mayor. To add a question to the flock system, I know it has to be installed, and I believe we are getting 9 cameras. So I guess once that's all in place, they'll let us know it started, or?
So the installation has to go through the permitting process, and they're going through that now. It'll probably be several months before they're installed and operating. But when they are, we'll let you know, yes.
Great, thank you.
Have we, yeah, I got another question. I'm sorry. Have we publicized yet where those cameras are going to be? Is there a map that the public can see?
No. And there wasn't one as part of the packet. I can certainly share it with council.
Okay.
Anyone else for council comments? Councilmember Woodard?
Thank you, Mayor. Completely different direction. We will not be together before the parade. Just wanted to know what expectations there are. Don't have to answer that right now unless you know that answer. And then I know we'll be back together before National Night Out, but if we can start working in the expectations there, is there a booth? Are we doing shifts? Any of that stuff is appreciated just so we can plan it out. Thank you.
I'll have times and locations hopefully tomorrow in time for the weekly email. If not, I will get it to you Monday morning, so you got plenty of time to plan.
Are we
can't-
going to be in the parade?
Yes, and I can say that, well, if you'd like to be, we're providing an opportunity for you to be. I also think, or I also want to mention National Night Out. Actually, all the vendor booths are sold and spoken for, so that's going really well. But I can say that the road closure on 56th is going to start at 4:30 this year, so a little bit earlier. But we have an MC this year, different one, of course, from the ones we've had last year. One of our volunteers on the Parks and Recreation, Recreation and Parks group, Forrest Rita, has agreed to be the MC for this year.
Good. All right, anyone else for council comments? Okay, so, Mayor Pro Tem Wall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sorry, I'm holding everybody up from enjoying the rest of this beautiful evening, but I did want to follow up. I appreciate Councilmember Page addressing the flock camera system. As we all know, we're continuing to hear concerns from our community. I think there's a couple of things that I'd like to see us consider. One is, just in general, I think we can do some work to rebuild our trust and confidence in the city for a number of people. So I think there's one thing we can do is consider issuing a statement of our values and just reminding and assuring our residents that they can still have faith and confidence of their safety here in our community. I'd like to also ask the Board and Commission Interview Committee to come back together again and consider whether we want to bring back the Community Policing Advisory Board or potentially utilizing other ways to look to help provide some oversight of the system, whether it's maybe, again, advisory board or utilizing our community ambassadors program or other ways, other things. And then another thing I think we can is worth doing is taking a deep dive into the policy manual and procedures that the police provided us and just kind of ensure, look through there to make sure there's things, if there's anything that we can do to help provide assurances to our residents that we're doing it right and making sure that the flock camera organization, the flock people, are using the system properly, I guess. I think that it's fair to say that nobody's questioning our own police. It's how others potentially could use the system. And so just making sure that there's clear transparency for our residents and making sure that they're aware of how it's being used and being able to work with our residents to, again, just rebuild the trust that we've lost with some people.
I was just going
to
add to that. I was at a hardware store and I was walking out to my car and this voice comes over the speaker and it says, "You're on camera," and this information goes to not our city's, but another city's police department. And I was so surprised at that. And it would be also interesting to get more education on how many devices that we don't even really understand are out there, and maybe check with those other cities that are catching these criminals. There was just one out the other day by David Rose that he just put out there that I think was a murder suspect they caught within 8 minutes. And I'm not saying right, wrong, or indifference to people's comments, but our intent isn't what I'm hearing the reflection from our citizens back. Our intent is to keep people safe and catch people that are doing horrendous things to our potential citizens. And I don't think we have an ill intent in this issue. And I just really would like everybody to know that.
Councilmember Page?
You know, what I hope has happened or will happen, I know Councilmember Murray on the 5th said, we don't need to be like everybody else. And I agree with that. I hope that there is conversation going on amongst all the various cities, chief of police, talking about flock and what the expectation we as neighbors have of one another about how it's used and how they're all going to hold each other accountable for the systems that are in their city. And if that conversation isn't happening, then I hope we can encourage Chief Call to make it happen. And that's how we get to be different. You know, that's how we not be the same. You know, my vision with this is that you know, here in the state of Washington, where there are several already in the cities, that we can be, you know, maybe a beacon of how to make sure that the citizens in these cities that have flock feel safer, because Mountlake Terrace Police has taken the initiative to hold these conversations regularly and comment or speak to whenever something pops up that shouldn't pop up, so that all of these different cities are all in one mind and one body. Because I believe that in order for our city to be safe, we have to collaborate with the cities around us. If we don't, we are not a safe city. And that's why I believe everyone feels that this is a safe city, because of the collaboration that takes place amongst all the other police departments. So I'm hoping that we can get to that point, if we're not there already, of having that type of conversation. You know,
Okay, anyone else? I just want to say that I was born in Japan as an American citizen. And yes, I do know immigration. My parents, my mom is from Japan. She was naturalized citizen. So you can have whatever you want to say or feel, but you're talking to me. And if you're talking to me, I know about immigration. I know about having parents who are not from this country, and I was not born in this country. And my son just got engaged to a person with a green card. So I understand. Okay? Anyone else? So we're adjourned.